So confidence comes from discipline. Now, this is an interesting topic because everybody wants to feel confident, right? Everybody wants to feel good within their own skin. They want to be showing up in the world. They want to be backing themselves, speaking kindly to themselves, having a presence that they're happy with. And the only way we get confident in any single area of our life is if we have the courage to do the work, even when we don't want to do the work. If we only relied on motivation to get us started and to keep us going, it would be very, very short-lived. It's actually having the discipline to do it when you don't want to do it. Those tasks like the meal prep, the planning, the exercise, the meditation, stress-free zone, the self-love. Self-love is really important. Catching yourself with that negative internal dialogue. It's noticing that and realizing that even when you don't want to do it, having the discipline to do it in those moments is actually going to make you move closer to your goals. And as a result of it, you're going to feel more confident in your ability to continue to maintain that level or that expectation that you have of yourself. So why is it that in spite of all of our knowledge and having more information at our fingertips than we have ever had before in our whole life, and in spite of all of our collective experiences from our past, if you think of everything that you've tried in the past, all the knowledge you have around it, how many times you know that you've failed at this or something that doesn't work for you, or the things that do work for you and make you feel your best, why is it that we all too often find ourselves not focusing on the things that we know we must do to feel our best or to be our ultimate self? And instead, we can sometimes allow our self-esteem and our body to take a backseat. We know what it is that makes us feel our best. We know what we have to be doing on a daily basis. Why don't we prioritize it? I think the biggest thing that I find with a lot of clients that I work with is the reason why they don't prioritize it is because they want a quick fix. They want it to be something that they're just going to put it in place and they're going to get an instant result. And then they think that they're just going to, the weight's just going to fall off them and that's going to be the end of it. But the thing with this lifestyle and getting the results and being able to maintain it and feel great within yourself means that you have to require two things: patience and commitment. Because if it has taken you 20 years to develop poor eating habits, 15 years to have negative internal dialogue, it might be 10 years of sleeping in, not managing your time, 5 years of gaining weight since you've had kids, whatever that period of time may be, you have to understand it's going to probably take the same amount of time and to unwind that and get back to a space where that's like a flat line and your habits and behaviors are consistent with the outcome that you want or the identity that you want to obtain. It takes a lot of patience. It's not instant. And because those habits have built up or that neurological pathway builds up in our brain over that period of time, we have to undo that. It can become very habitual. Some of those responses that we have, whether it be to stress or emotional eating or hitting the snooze button, they can all be very habitual responses. And so we have to be committed to understanding that, yes, it's going to take time. I'm going to have to do the work and I'm going to have to do it when I don't want to feel like it, or it doesn't interest me, or I'm not inspired, or I don't feel motivated, and you got to do it anyway. So ultimately your results come down to having consistent self-discipline. Consistent is the word. Because the thing is, ladies, it doesn't matter how smart we are. It doesn't matter how much information we have around this area of life. It doesn't matter how many seminars you've been to, how many books you've read, how many people you've spoken to, how many diets you've tried, anything, a podcast you listen to. It doesn't mean a thing. It actually means nothing unless you're putting something into practice. And the other thing you have to remember is it doesn't matter whether you've struggled this for your whole life or you've just struggled with this since you became a mum and you feel like your identity was mixed up. It doesn't matter what part in your journey you're at. If you're not making changes to your daily routine, your habits and behaviors, and not reflecting on what does or doesn't work for you, nothing is going to change. You can read and you can listen and you can say that you're going to execute and you can plan and you can strategize, but it means nothing. All that matters is the reps that you do on the ground and the amount of times you take action, because that's where you start to change your belief system about yourself and you actually start to get results. If you don't apply what you've learned, don't expect anything to change. So please, guys, remember that when you first try and change your ways or you try and adjust your habits, it is uncomfortable. It is hard. I'm not lying about that at any point. Nothing, nothing about what we're changing here is easy, because we have such heavily ingrained habitual patterns of behavior, and you have to change them. There's no quick fix. There's no pill. There's no program. There's no diet out there that's going to get you results unless you have the discipline to do the tasks anyway and you're consistent with it. If you want the results, you have to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. You have to know that there are going to be days when you don't want to do it and you've got to do it anyway. I was talking to a lady yesterday and we were doing a breakthrough call, and she was talking to me about her fear around having to give up the things that she loves. So having to give up the chocolate every night, the wine every night, the ice creams at lunch. She is a chronic binge eater. And so we were talking about her habits and behaviors that she has at the moment and what she's worried about giving up. And I had a discussion with her about the fact that it's very rare that women actually sit down and realize what they're giving up emotionally, mentally, how they speak to themselves, their quality of life, how they show up in the world, how they're giving up aspects of that for things, short-term gratification in food, or 10 minutes longer in bed, or 15 minutes more on the couch to watch Netflix rather than doing food prep. What they actually give up in their life as an individual because they choose that short-term gratification instead. Sure, the short-term gratification might be great. The chocolate bar in the moment might be great. And I'm not saying I don't eat the chocolate bar. I'm totally realistic about the fact that we consume those things. But it's the ratio to which we do it, or the ratio to which we watch Netflix over doing what we need to do, or the ratio to which we hit the snooze button rather than get up and move our body and seize the day. Yeah, it might not be the ideal choice. Sure. But if it affects your emotional state, it affects your relationships, it affects how you parent, it affects how you hold yourself when you rock up at a social event. It affects how you talk to yourself. It affects your self-belief and your self-esteem. Isn't that more important, to be uncomfortable in that moment so you get to experience that? Because we have one chance on this planet. One chance. This is not a repeat. This is the youngest we're ever going to be. And if you don't seize the day and make the opportunity to make changes now, it's never going to happen. And this lady yesterday was saying that she's so scared that she's going to be 60 years old and she's going to be so sad that she didn't go swimming with her kids, and that she didn't go out to dinners with her husband, and that she didn't go out into public and go to the shops because she had low self-esteem, because she kept going for that short-term gratification and not grasping what it was that really matters to her, which is living a fulfilled life. So either are uncomfortable. If you choose the short-term gratification, expect to be uncomfortable in your life as a whole. If you choose to go after life, hold on to it, and feel comfortable and confident because you have the discipline to do the acts, expect that it's going to be uncomfortable sometimes and you have to make sacrifices. You can't have your cake and eat it too. So you've got to pick and choose, what do I want to be? Who do I want to be? How am I going to show up in the world? What sort of role model do I want to be? And then what is it going to take for me to do on a daily basis to be that individual? Because when we look at the short-term gratification versus the long-term gratification, it's that very moment of decision that shapes your destiny. That heavily impacts every time you choose to go after self-esteem, confidence, vibrancy, energy, whatever, like health. Every time you choose your health over that short-term gratification, it's like you're voting for your ultimate self. Yes, I'm worthy. I'm going to put in the time and the effort, and I'm going to hang on to that. Because I want to be someone who plays with my kids, who is smiling and happy when I'm out, who's not pulling at my clothes and I don't feel uncomfortable, who moves my body and makes the use of what I have, because not everybody has that. Like my brother being a quadriplegic, that's a perfect example of that. Who has great self-esteem because I back myself, who knows that I'm allowed to make mistakes and that's all part of the journey, but I'm committed to being as best as I possibly can whilst I'm on this planet. So every time you go down that path, you take a vote for yourself. And as those votes add up, you increase your confidence and your self-esteem. So in order to create change in your life, you have to do two things. First of all, you have to raise your standards. And you have to turn your shoulds, what you keep saying, I should do, into I must do it. It's a non-negotiable. When these things are used together, these two tools form an unstoppable force at taking your life to the next level. Commit to using them and you'll find that you will never be the same again. Now, raising your standards. This is an interesting concept because it can run in alignment with our expectations. Raising your standards is knowing that you are worthy of more, that you are worth all the time and the effort, that you're very capable. The only limitations that you have come from your mind. And ultimately, our limitations come from our past memories. I'm actually reading a book on this at the moment, which is called Zero Limits by Joe Vitale. This book here. So it's quite a complex psychological view, but quite interesting. So he talks about the fact that the only reason we ever put limitations on ourselves is because mentally our memories hold us back. So we put limitations on how capable or competent we're going to be in any area of our life based on our past experiences. So if you've been in this dieting rut for a really long time, you struggle to lose a lot of weight, like I was, 12 years ago, binge eating, feeling terrible about myself, never consistent with exercise, total emotional roller coaster, drinking way too much, eating way too much, just the whole thing was a bit of a mess. And so every time I thought about myself and my ability to lead a healthy lifestyle, I was pulled back to my memory of fad dieting queen, never stuck at anything, zero self-control, lacked motivation. And so every time I would go and try and make changes to my life, I was already mentally limiting myself. My standards of myself in that area of my life were very low. I didn't have very high expectations. I just expected myself to fail. And then as soon as I would fail, I was never shocked. It was just like, well, of course you failed because that's what you do, Chelsea, right? And that internal dialogue kept me there. When we're allowing our past memories to shape what our future is going to look like, we don't feel inspired. And so ultimately, we have to realize that just because that's something from our past, that has nothing to do with what our future is going to look like. Every single given moment, we get to make a choice about whether we're going to vote for our ultimate self or whether we're going to stay stagnant and keep pulling from those past memories. Because those past memories actually have no impact on the choices that you make moving forward. We think that they do, but they actually don't. What happened yesterday is just done and dusted. There's no point in spending any more energy or any more time on it. What we really need to be doing is going, okay, I need to let that go. I need to forgive myself for making those choices and understand that, sure, it's part of my past. But what am I going to do to move forward and change my outcome, change my destination? How am I going to raise my standards? And it doesn't have to be like drastically. As I'm always saying, it only has to be by 4%. You only have to raise your standards slightly. If you're doing 2 workouts a week and you've been doing that consistently for a month, maybe up it to 3 workouts a week. Do that consistently for the next 2 months. That's all we're talking about. Because you've got to have the foundation of the time management skills, stress management skills, organization to be able to up the ante. You can't just go from flatlining and doing nothing to working out 6 days a week, hour a day, meal prepping twice a week, meditating 7 days a week. You don't go from 0 to there because it just equals total burnout. You've got to do it gradually. But you've got to think of yourself like, what are my standards of myself at the moment? And do they match who I want to be in the long run? Is this going to change my destination? If you're going to have lasting change in your life, you need to raise your standards. The standards you've set for yourself are the difference between getting okay results and getting extraordinary results. You shift your life forever the moment that you raise your standards. So right now, consciously decide that there is a higher standard for you. The other thing we have to do is turn our shoulds into musts. We have to stop with the excuses. You have to start to acknowledge and recognize when it's an excuse or it's a justified cause and a justified reason. Anyone who achieves something magnificent in their life has to turn their shoulds into musts. There is no time to procrastinate, no time to put it off, to delay, to wait for tomorrow. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you're planning for tomorrow. All that matters is what you do right now. And that's the difference between when you go to bed at night and you feel really accomplished and you feel great, or you go to bed at night and you know that you could have raised your standards and you feel disappointed with yourself. That's that internal self-belief, that esteem. We feel our best when we are in alignment with our greater goals and when we're working on them consistently. When it starts to dip, our self-esteem dips as well. Nothing changes as long as you allow this language to linger into your vocabulary. So you got to listen very closely. Am I putting things off? Am I procrastinating? Am I making excuses? Things like time. I don't have time. Kids are sick. I don't have the support. They're excuses. I'm being very frank and being very blunt. They're excuses. Sure, the level at which you can put it into place will drop slightly when your kids are sick or something, but that shouldn't affect your exercise. It might affect your sleep, but it shouldn't affect your morning routine. It shouldn't affect your food prep that you do, because you know that you need the vitamins and the macronutrients to be able to get better as a family. So you can't allow it to all slip away when life gets in the way. That's not consistent self-discipline. And so you've got to pull yourself up and say, okay, what am I using as a crutch to allow me to derail frequently? And what am I going to do to change that? Reflect on that so that you can grow as an individual and make changes to your lifestyle. So I want you to reflect on the standards that you currently hold for yourself. And you can think of all the different areas of your life. Some people have incredibly high standards for themselves in their career. Incredibly high standards for themselves as a parent. Incredibly high standards for themselves as a friend. They give everything. They're there at the drop of a hat to support their friends. They're amazing. But do they have incredibly high standards at valuing themselves and their health? Now, you're all here because you want to have incredibly high standards in that area. You've got to work out, am I valuing this area of my life and giving it as much time and energy that is required as I give to parenting, my career, my personal growth, all the other areas that I'm managing? Because the rewards that you are after and the lifestyle that you want to achieve and the confidence that you want to feel means that you have to be pushing yourself to the next level. That means you have to have the discipline to do the tasks even when you don't want to. This is really important. If you don't want to get out of bed, it doesn't matter. Get out of bed. Just get up. You'll always feel better. I don't know a day where I've got up and done a workout or done my morning ritual or meditated or journaled or whatever it is and not been thankful that I did it. You're always thankful that you did it. You're always thankful you did the food prep at night when you have the lunches the next day. You're always thankful you got your snack box to pull from the fridge when the kids are running mayhem and you're trying to get them in the bath at night and you've got food there on the table. You're snacking on that rather than pulling from cheese and crackers. You're always thankful. And as I was talking to the lady yesterday, sometimes the weight of which a task can sit on our shoulders, like food prep takes okay, if you're doing all your lunches, a couple of dinners for the week and your snack boxes, an hour, right? It takes an hour. Now, if you don't do that, the amount of time you waste in the kitchen because you're not organized, or the snacking or the emotional weight of not making good food choices, and then how you feel mentally as a result of that and how you feel more sluggish and how it affects your energy is much greater than 1 hour. I mean, an hour is only 4% of your day, right? What are you doing with the other 96% of your day? If you can't find time for those non-negotiable tasks, which generally don't take much more than an hour, hour and a half, maybe a day, what are you doing with your time? So I was talking to a lady about this the other day. She was saying, if you took your whole week and then you minus how many hours you work, you minus how many hours you sleep, minus how many hours you drive the kids around, you exercise, you started to actually subtract it. She'd worked it out and she had 51 hours left in her week. That's a lot. She's someone who exercised 6 days a week, prepped twice a week, meditated twice a day. She still had 51 hours. So this concept of I don't have time is often codswallop, because whenever we prioritize something enough, we find time for it. When you care enough about that Netflix show, you find time for it. When you care about that game on your phone or the YouTube channel or social media or sewing or painting or whatever it might be, that conversation with your girlfriend on the phone, you find time for it. But we have to find time for ourselves. We have to prioritize ourselves. And that means expecting more from ourselves, and that we have to give more self-love in order to feel greater about ourselves and have greater levels of self-confidence. And we have to raise our standards and up the daily ante. So what are the things that make you uncomfortable? What are the things in your life that you know you probably need to tackle? It's a problem. It's something that needs to be solved. And currently it's causing some angst around your ability to execute on your health. So what are the series of problems that I need to work on and solve? If we constantly use this language of this is just a problem that I need to gain some more information, I need to solve, we're much more open to walking into it and finding a solution. Whereas when we feel stuck and overwhelmed and we're in that mental state where you're saying things like, I can't, nothing ever works, this isn't for me, that language stops you from finding solutions. You just mentally switch off. Why would you look for a solution if you don't honestly believe that you can solve it? But no one is born with the skills to manage their health. No one. No one's born with the skills to manage their time. No one's born a binge eater. No one's born stressed out. No one's born anxious. That doesn't exist. We're coming to this planet blank slates. And then over a period of time, conditioning and those past memories influencing our self-belief, like I was talking about, then what happens is we start to make comments and statements about ourselves, and then we live within them. That's why that internal dialogue is so important to be attuned to. So you have to be asking yourself, okay, what is the problem that I need to solve here? Is it that you need to manage your time better? Is it that you need to be prioritizing your food prep? Is it that you're not moving your body daily? Is it that you're not managing your mental state and your stress, and as a result, you're backfiring in relationships, you're talking negatively to yourself, you're losing sleep at night, you're emotionally eating? Who knows? There's a whole combination of things that come from that. Is it that you're not mastering your motivation? You're not tapping into that state and giving yourself pep talks? Is it that you're not attuned to your internal dialogue, that you're letting this script run and tell you what you can and can't do, when in fact that's got nothing to do with how you're going to show up in the world next week, 2 years' time, 5 years' time? Is it that there's certain habits that you need to change? Or is it that you don't have an environment around you that currently supports the changes that you're trying to make, and you have too many visual and emotional triggers? So please remember, it takes discipline to change a habit. It takes discipline to mentally solve a problem. It takes discipline to push on when you're uncomfortable. It's not easy. It's hard. But you know what's really hard? Not committing to yourself. Getting to your deathbed and feeling disappointed with the fact that you didn't show up in the world with the short period of time we had on this planet. And I think we'll all know that as we get older, life is just going so fast. Like my twins are 1 next week, and I don't even know where that went. It's insane. I don't even know where that year has gone. And we're halfway through 2021. I mean, what? How did that happen? I remember when it turns 2000, year 2000, that was big, right? And so just know that time is going to pass anyway. But let's actually rock up in the world and feel our best. And that doesn't mean looking the best. That doesn't mean that. We're talking about our self-esteem and the fact that we're committed to our goals and working on ourselves, even when things aren't necessarily cooperating in our lives. Because our lives change direction when we focus on adjusting our habits a little bit each day, every day. It's just a little bit, just minor adjustments every single day, a little bit of personal growth. It can't be only done on the days when life is going our way, or the days that you have time, or the days that you feel like it. It has to be done every day. And if you're committing to solving this problem, you need to do what it takes to overcome it from week to week, to retrain your brain, to create a new daily habit and ritual, to become that new person. So what do you need to do each week to solve your current problem? So I want you to consider when you feel most confident in your life. What are you doing? How do you speak to yourself? How do you behave? How do you motivate yourself? How do you show up in the world as a result of that? They're the days when you've made a plan for yourself and you execute on it. And you don't have to be moving mountains to be feeling good about yourself. You can be doing very small, minor things but you feel great as a result of it after. And I was actually talking to Ellie about this yesterday, because she was saying that when she first started in the program, her level of overwhelm that she experienced around executing on managing the household tasks and looking after her health, and it was just all consuming. She was feeling very overwhelmed with trying to get on top of it all. And then yesterday when I spoke to her, she had written a list of stuff she wanted to do in her house, and she had just gone through and she had ticked it off, and she just felt great. And there wasn't a deadline to which those things had to be done. She just got up and she just got on with it. And so she felt confident within herself yesterday when she showed up on that call, because she was taking action in the area of her life that she valued and that mattered to her. And that's ultimately what it comes down to, just taking action, realizing that you're not stuck and that you get to make a choice. So your self-esteem is solely linked to your ability to execute on your goals, 100%. So know that it's not always going to go to plan. We can say that we're going to do things and then life gets in the way. That's okay. We expect that. We're doing this for 40 years, right? We're doing it for the next 40 years. So of course, life is going to get in the way. We have different seasons in life. There's school holidays, kids are home, it's more disrupted, you're going out more. You go on vacations, you want to eat and drink more, you hang out with family, you're having later nights, the whole routine's messed up, probably don't have your kitchen, all sorts of things. There's sickness, broken nights, everybody's sniffling, more demands on you. We have just general life stress and greater demands that occur in us. And know that when those seasons hit, we just have to lower our expectations, but you don't use it as an excuse to not take any action. You have to just continue to lower it, but keep moving forward. What it looks like will be different for every individual. And you have to work out, you know yourself when you're coasting, and you know yourself when you're putting in effort. You know when you're using something as an excuse, or if you're pushing forward. You know that within yourself. I don't have to tell you that. So just know how much you need to peel it back and what you can move forward with. For example, when I'm sick, depending on how sick I am, if it's just like a head cold and I'm coughing, sniffly nose, whatever, I continue to go to the gym. That's not enough for me to stop. It has to be moved into my chest, and I have to be a point at which I need antibiotics before I'm going to stop going to the gym. But when I'm going to the gym and I have a sniffly nose and I have a cough, I might not do any cardio. I'm just going to do strength-based, or I might just be walking. I peel it back, but I keep the routine the same. The same thing has to occur. Get up, look after myself, lemon juice, meditation, blah, 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 gym session, move my body, whatever it is. Because I know that's part of my identity now, and that's part of what makes me feel best. And so as a reflection, I've made a decision that part of my daily routine, because it makes me show up in the world better and I'm in a better mental space, I cope better with the kids, I'm more organized in the mornings. I know that for me is something that I need to maintain. The intensity varies, but that's a habit that I need to maintain. And so you need to work out for you, what are the habits that make you show up your best? And then what are those things that you need to maintain? Rain, hail, or shine. Now, remember, it takes discipline to plan. It's hard to think ahead and think, okay, I'm going to do my meal plan. I'm going to do my food prep here. I'm going to do my exercise sessions there. I'm going to meditate here. I'm going to do self-love there. I'm going to hang out with the girls there. I'm going to, take the kids here, spend quality time there. I've got to organize that. It takes discipline to do that. It takes even more discipline to execute on that. People are generally very good at planning and saying they're going to do things. Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll get up and I'll start the morning routine, but then they don't. It takes discipline to execute on it. And it takes discipline to look at what has occurred in your past with full objectivity and at the results to that plan that you had applied, and realize, is this actually working for me, or do I need to change it? What adjustments can I make? Rather than saying that's not for me and letting it fall off the table, you have to make adjustments. Maybe you went too hard. Maybe you burnt yourself out. Maybe you just need to peel it back a little bit. Maybe it's that you've got a lot of stress going on right now and the intensity is too high. The expectations are too high. But what can you remain in that daily routine so that you feel like you're constantly making ground? That constant feeling of making ground, seeing progress, voting for yourself, that's what creates confidence. So understand that weight loss takes time. And just as that may have taken you months or even years to accumulate your excess body fat, it's going to take just as long, if not longer, to lose that same excess body fat. It has taken me 12 years to get my life to where it is now. But I didn't have a habit coach, and I didn't have a mindset coach. That was just me doing all the work on my own. So ultimately, your journey is sped up rapidly because you're having the information at your fingertips. I wish I had someone teaching me what I'm teaching you and putting me through what you've done, because I feel like it would have been a much easier and smoother journey with not as much self-doubt. But just know it takes time. It can't be done all at once. It literally is focusing on one habit from week to week and just slowly upping the ante. So when embarking on your weight loss journey, understand that patience and dedication is necessary if you want to see the results and then be able to keep the results. Place massive focus on your daily routine. The problem is that trying numerous fad diets and many quick fix approaches leads to a burnout early on, because people think that they have to do so much in order to get results. And so they just come in full steam ahead and they try and up the ante so high that they just can't maintain that standard yet. And so they burn out. So instead of trying these temporary fixes, figure out ways that you can make healthy habits part of your daily lifestyle going forward. Just focus on, what do I do when I wake up in the morning? How do I speak to myself? What follows from that? Habit stack it as much as you possibly can, because the less thought that is required in your daily routine, the easier it is to execute on it. If you're not planning ahead and you're not working out when you're going to do your workouts, so you're not going to work out when you're doing meditation or your food prep, your planning or self-love, if you don't work out that stuff, your balanced meals, and you're leaving it to chance, you're going to get decision fatigue. Because what happens is you get sick to death of thinking, what is my next meal? And when am I going to fit in my workout? And when am I going to have my balanced meal? And how long is it going to be until I can manage my stress better? That decision fatigue is what can burn women out as well, not just executing at a really high level. Now, the great thing about habit tracking within the app is that you can actually look at your data and you can assess where you are now and how you can raise your standards slightly. So you can look at yourself across the 4 eyes. You can say, okay, how many dots am I getting on average a week? Okay, well, I'm getting 3 dots for the stress-free zone, 2 for meditation, 4 for hydration, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I am coming up, I'm done in my nutrition because I keep emotionally eating. Now, what will stop me from emotionally eating? Okay, entering the stress-free zone and meditating. That's direct correlation. Okay, so let's just up my stress-free zone 1 dot a week and my meditation 1 dot a week. And let's see what impact that has on my nutrition, because it's all interlinked. All of it. You have to celebrate your non-scale victories. Unfortunately, women can get so focused on the scales and the digit on it that it can be very disheartening if they feel like it's not dropping. Rather than focusing on the person that they want to be and the identity that they want to embody and how they want to show up in the world. So sometimes it can take several weeks or months before you will start losing weight. Often when you switch to a healthier lifestyle, your body will take care of any internal healing that needs to happen before it will start shredding fat cells. So instead of focusing on the scales, make a point of celebrating your non-scale victories. It might be being able to fit into clothing more comfortably. It could be the fact that you have more energy. It could be that you're providing healthier food for your family. It could be that you're no longer feeling out of breath after you're climbing upstairs. There's a million things. It could be that you're responding better, that you're speaking to yourself more kindly, that you sleep better, that your gut health is better, and so your mental health is better. There's a billion things that you could look at your lifestyle and say, actually, this is a huge win. If you only focus on the scales, the problem is that you will not get the results long term because it's too detrimental. And with females and our hormones, it can go up and down and up and down and up and down all the time. And if the scales are something that at the moment when you get on them, they deter you from taking action, you're better off just not to get on them. Just don't get on them. Just focus on who it is that you want to be, what the daily habits look like, how your self-esteem is affected as a result of you taking action, how good do you feel about yourself, look at how you're showing up in your relationships, and judge it based on that. Because that in the long run is what's going to get you the results and be able to keep them. Focusing on these victories will make you more disciplined from day to day as you acknowledge your progress. I'm always banging on about this, but continue to track your habits. Please, ladies. Journaling about your weight loss progress helps you pinpoint what's helping and what's not, especially in terms of the 4 eyes. You might be tracking the foods and the portions that you're consuming versus stress eating. You might be tracking the amount of hours that you're sleeping versus how much energy you actually have. You might be looking at your daily step count and your workout minutes versus how many hours you're spending on devices. You might be looking at how frequently you enter the stress-free zone or meditate versus how often you emotionally eat. If you find that you've suddenly stopped getting results, through habit tracking, you can actually review your data and you can pinpoint the root cause. But if you have no data to pull from, you have no idea where it's kind of messing up or going wrong, your results will stagnate because you've got nothing to look back and go, wait a second, since I started like taking the kids to football on a Thursday, my diet's now falling apart on the Thursday. And then as a result of that, I perceive myself to be off track. And so on the Friday now I'm eating poor choices. Whereas I wasn't doing that before. Maybe I need to do my food prep on a Thursday. And then when I've eaten healthier there, I'm going to feel better about myself on a Friday. I'm going to make better choices. You can literally pinpoint it. You can start to see where the dots disappear when they come back on. And then you can go, okay, what's going on here and why is this falling apart? And what do I need to adjust? It's all personalized. I really encourage you to get involved in the Inspired Mama support group challenges. Having a support a community around you helps you stay excited and helps you stay motivated, because we need friends and family on board. Sometimes people don't have friends and family on board. I'm quite fortunate in the fact that I've made a good group of girlfriends that go to the gym. And so although I spend probably 90% of my time motivating them, we definitely feed off each other. And so I very much tap into that community and tap into the Inspired Mama community. I love that Inspired Mama support group as much as women get it from me, like as I get from them. Because small things like participating in the weekly food prep posts allows you to see what other people are preparing and also keep yourself accountable for your chosen food prep day. So I say I'm going to do it every Sunday or Monday, and I take photos. Whether I post them or not, sometimes I forget to post them, which is fine. But at least you're keeping yourself accountable. And you see the other people that are getting results, they're the ones who are participating. They're keeping themselves accountable. You might want to post your sweaty headshot or a view from your workout in the Push Your Limits posts. A lot of women will do is they'll say, okay, this is 1 out of 4 workouts, 2 out of 4 workouts, 3 out of 4. And then they slowly count down as they complete them. So then everybody knows, okay, Melody's got another 2 workouts to do and then she's done. Also remember that every 5 weeks, I run a different challenge in the group, focusing on a different aspects of the 4 I's. So at the moment, there's the gratitude challenge running. And I'm doing that because I want us to rewire our brain to notice the good that we're doing, because this has a massive impact on stress and emotional eating. People don't see that link. They just think, oh, it's just a gratitude challenge. But actually, it's very, very important. That's why it's one of the 4 I's, gratitude. So get involved and support the other women in there, and know that you will have a supportive community as well. But this is another way of you creating personal accountability. Remember, the more reps that you complete, the more times you complete that habit, the more you refine your daily routine, the more you reflect on what works for you and your family, the more successful you will be. Confidence comes from having the discipline to stick at it. There is no other way you're going to become confident in this area of your life. I like this quote. Motivation will come and go, but if you've created healthy habits and a solid routine, your discipline will be there when the motivation is not.